welcome to another episode of Prime Time. I've got Nick co-hosting next to me, Jaden on the bench or at fullback. That's where he played. But it was a great weekend of footy. Not too good for me in the tipping department. Everyone's struggling with the early round tips. How did you find the weekend?
Can't get a tip, but I am winning my bets. That's 2 in a row now.
The TikTok multis.
I'm on a bit of a heater, going for 3 in a row this week. But other than that, I couldn't hit a bet to save my life.
Yeah, like your same games during the week.
I had picked every try scorer, Wyden, I think Katoa, but I just couldn't get the winners.
Car.
Yeah, had car.
But it was teams that you didn't think who should have won. Like you take Canberra, that let you down.
I had Sharks and neither to 40. CSC for Talakai hits a 2-point penalty goal on the 80th minute. Kills
Penrith as well let me down this week. But other than that, a lot happening in the world of rugby league and across codes. But what's the fan question of the week is more important?
Fan question of the week's from Ben Castle, and it's, why do you think Para are chasing a new fullback?
Because what they have said is they need a spark. They need someone. They've lost some players. They need someone that's going to be a game breaker for them. That's the only thing I can make sense of.
I know I've said it, but I do believe they know he's not an X factor, and they want someone that's going to produce more of a fullback role, like Latrell, like Kayln Ponga.
But Gutho's I would say a top 5 fullback in the comp.
Nah,
not anymore. No.
No?
Nah.
Like reliable, good under the high ball, does his job. He's good in attack, sums up the attack really well.
He's a top 5 defensive fullback, but when it comes to the players that are creating opportunities, if you see the way Reece Walsh plays for Brisbane, that's the type of fullback you want.
But who's on the market that you can go? He'll take Gutherson's position. Like, I don't think there's much. Everyone's locked up. Tedesco's locked up. Ponga's locked up.
They're rumoured with Jaden Campbell at the moment. So
he's an X factor.
Yeah, he's good. I don't think he's Gutherson level to be told like, oh, we're going to replace you or just let you know. Sorry, we're shopping around.
The only reason I don't like it is why would you release this? Like, just keep it under wraps. Like, why are you embarrassing the guy and saying he's a shit fullback? You're essentially saying he's a terrible fullback.
Para have a shit PR department because everything gets out about it. When their coach is going to re-sign him, when their coach is going to get sacked, who's leaving. All of Mitchell Moses' contract saga was in the media. They can't really keep anything.
Apparently, though, Gutherson did give him the go-ahead to go look for another player.
It's like a blessing.
So he's not dirty about it. I think he just knows that he's limited.
Maybe it was professional for the club, but if it means that they're going to add a player to increase their premiership chances, if it's someone like a Jack Wyden, possibly, I don't know.
What's Jack Wyden on? What's he getting paid?
I know Clint Gutherson's on $800K a year.
$800K, that's a lot.
It's taken up a lot of your cap. I don't know if you can replace him.
Jack Wyden is on $900 a year, and he's off contract 2023. So.
I don't. They just signed Dylan Brown for over nearly $1 million.
Just re-signed
Moses.
So I don't know.
Wyden used to play at 1.
I don't think it's wise to say, oh, they're going to replace him. If they said they're looking for someone to be an addition to the team, that makes more sense. But again, I couldn't pick a thing last week, but. I don't know, we've got our finger on the pulse. We know who's doing well. Who was your team of the week?
My team of the week was the Eagles. Coming off, 3 straight losses against the premiership winners, Penrith.
They needed that win.
They needed to win that game, and they showed up. And it goes back to last year. Every time they play them, they rise to the occasion. Mitch Moses had an outstanding game. Dylan Brown played well. All their backs played well. Sevo was catching every high ball. I don't know where that came from. They must have had a great training session during the week. But they were definitely my team of the week.
My team of the week is a team that's gone under the radar, and that's the Cronulla Sharks.
Yeah.
Addition of Nico Hines in there, I feel like they're going to fly under the radar this whole comp. No one's really made a fuss about him. Everyone's talking about your Dolphins or Parramatta this week. And, is it going to be Penrith 3 in a row? No one's talking about the Sharks. They got the squad.
They've definitely got a stacked team. Katoa, Mulatala.
They've got a good combination of backs and a solid pack to get them to the finals. So I reckon... They're my team of the week. They convincingly beat the Dragons, and I think that as the season goes on, going into Origin, they'll be more consistent, and I think they're smokers to win the comp.
They don't really have any Origin players either, besides potentially Hines if he jumps in there, but they'll keep their starting 17 throughout the season.
We usually do our player of the week, and my player of the week is Nico Hines. After that performance, first game back from that niggling calf injury, to put 40 on a Dragons team in your first game back, and he was everywhere. Couldn't do any wrong.
He had 3 try assists, 5 line break assists. Everything he touched turned to gold.
He was making a statement as to why he was the Dalian medalist last year, even though many people thought maybe he shouldn't have been. But the kid's a freak. He's earning his keep at Cronulla. He's their leader, and I just think as the season goes on, he's going to be a staple for Cronulla.
No, my player of the week was Mitch Moses. I mentioned before, outstanding game. First player ever to kick for over 1,000 metres. That's a kilometre. So that's amazing. I mean, like, he kept, and that was the reason they won that game. He pinned them down in their territory. Yeah, okay, the fullback Edwards and the winger ran for over 300 metres each. That's because they were getting pinned in their half and had to run from their dead ball line.
Listen, Nathan Cleary had a top game as well. Penrith are disappointing when they can't score tries. Luai's been a little bit disappointing as well, just from his attack.
I think he's fine.
I think they're missing Kickow on the left side.
Nah, they're definitely...
It is. They don't have that attacking threat on the left anymore. I don't know if it's every time they come up against Para, they just can't score.
That's all it was. It's just when they're versing Para gets under their skin, they just don't play well. But speaking of Nicho Hynes, I do want to ask you guys, is he going to be the Origin 5'8" this year?
Is Nicho Hynes going to be the Origin 5'8"? I don't know. He's been in that emerging player list for ages, but Matt Burton played there last year. Luai is always the front runner because he pairs with Cleary. Maybe he comes in as a 14.
I'd start Hynes. Like they gave the Penrith boys their shot last year and they came up short.
No, I feel like it's between Matt Burton and Nicho Hynes. I feel like they've moved on from Luai, depending on how Penrith play. But Nicho Hynes, the level of football he's playing, he's easily got to be the number 6.
Well, I think if you are 100% going to pick Jack Whiten as a 14 that can cover positions all around the field, then you have to go with an out-and-out 6, and that's either Luai, Burton, or Hynes. And I think let the season see who's playing the best and pick the best player. So that way you're not going, oh, maybe we should have picked Fox or maybe we should have started with Jake Jaworich. Just pick who's playing the best. Don't be a dud, Freddie.
And like a word to Brad Fittler, just pick the best players available.
Yeah, that's it.
Nicho Hynes is the best 5'8" player available. Nathan Cleary's got the number 7 on lock, but half and 5'8", it's the same
There's still
thing.
a lot of rounds to be played until the first game, which is May 31st. But if Luai's playing the best footy then, pick Luai and he's paired with Cleary, that makes sense. If Hynes is playing the best, pick Nicho Hynes. It's very simple.
I'd like to see Hynes play.
So I want to say that Mitch Moses, I think he gets overlooked as a quality 7 in the comp. Kicking game, second to none. Even though Nathan Cleary, probably like saving that game there at the end with the field goal, Mitch Moses got the better of him because he kicked them out of trouble. They won the arm wrestle. So I agree with you.
Would you ever pair Moses and Cleary in the halves?
No.
Or they're two controlling halves? You wouldn't.
No, I could see them playing if Nicho Hynes is injured.
They're two dominant 7s, and Mitch Moses slotted in there once before. Now Isaiah Yeo has re-signed up until 2027 with the Penrith Panthers. Big signing because, like I said, there's a lack of quality players. As in, Isaiah Yeo's probably, I would say, one of the best ball-playing front rowers, ball-playing locks in the comp.
Yeah, he's one of the best ball-playing locks.
And they've locked him up for a long period of time. He'll probably get a start in Origin as a lock or either a front rower.
He deserves it. You could see him
Do
being
you play him at lock at Origin? Do you play him at...
I'd play him off the bench and throw him in at front row. And then after 20 minutes or something, you have that second phase footy coming off from a front rower. Start Cam Murray at lock.
I mean, I don't think he's the best lock in the comp. I probably have like Taumalolo and Cam Murray ahead of him, but he's deserving of that contract and Penrith need him. And he's easily, when you saw last year at his best, he was in talks of Dally M, so he's up there.
There's been a few transfers over the weekend. Aaron Woods just made the switch from the Dragons to the Manly Seagulls. That's now his 10th club, I believe. No, that's an exaggeration. But, I mean, he's bouncing around. Then there's Jack Whiten, who just told Canberra that he wants to test out the open market. So there's a bit of player movement. Smartest move from Jack Whiten? Does he want to play at a premiership-winning club, or is he just trying to get his dollars up?
The reports here are wrong. They're saying he wants to test his value in the market because he's just declined his player option. He's 30 years old. He wants a 4 or 5 year contract.
Babyface.
He wants a 4 or 5 year contract to end his career. So obviously you're going to reject your player option, and he's going to test his value in the market. Maybe bump up his pay 100, 200K, get a longer term deal. He'll stay at Canberra.
I think that he wants to be a one club player. Like the fans at Canberra love him, unless he wants to chase that title that he thinks he got robbed of.
Roosters probably have some room in their cap.
Roosters would have room in their cap too. I don't know. It's an interesting one. But talking about the Roosters, some good news, some positive news for them. Angus Crichton could be returning back to training pretty soon. Much needed in for them.
Yeah, I saw that he could be expected to play within 2 weeks. I mean, the Roosters would be ecstatic with that. They need some second rollers. They need some forwards. Egan Butcher and Nat Butcher have been carrying the load with Tupanua out, and they just look really weak on the bench. I don't know if you see their bench this week. They've got a really, really lacklustre bench. They've got Jake Turpin.
They've always had that depth issue.
Yeah, Jake Turpin, White, Corey Allen, and Fletcher Baker.
Hutchison in the centres this week too, with no money.
So they're down on troops. They need all the talent they can get back on deck. And Angus Crichton, if he does return to the level of football he was playing last year.
Talking an Origin level second rower. They definitely need him. Yeah, they haven't had that. they don't seem as dangerous in attack when they go down that left side. He's usually on. And I just think, I thought they would win this week against the Parramatta at Allianz. It's at their home, but with the players that they have out, they've always struggled with depth. Every Roosters fan, not that there are many of them and they don't travel, but every Roosters fan you talk to say they'll win the comp if they stay healthy, and they just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, no.
Whereas Luke Keary with concussions, Angus Crichton being out, Manu going down, people going down with injuries. They have a premiership winning team. They just need to stay healthy.
And they have zero juniors too, so their juniors doesn't help their depth.
Great news to hear that he's back though. And you just hope he's doing well, and hopefully can return to that level of play.
And hopefully those WhatsApp rumours can quieten down now because they were getting a bit out of hand.
A bit out of hand.
But in coaching news, it's Anthony Griffin who's been told that he's got 6 games left to save his coaching career at the Dragons. Bit rough.
He's basically been sacked.
Because the way they did it at the start was, hey, mate, you're going to have to reapply for your job at the end of the year. And that came out publicly. So that's basically a public sacking.
Yeah.
Bit embarrassing on his behalf. Like, if you're a club, do you want to be doing business in that aspect? Now also, it's been officially come out. I mean, Buzz Rothfield reported that he's got 6 games left to save his career. I don't know if that means that they'll re-sign him or if that means you still have to apply at the end of the year for your job. But the Dragons, Gordon Tallis also came out and said, this is where coaching careers go to die. We've been harping on it since round 1. They don't make any signings. No one wants to go play there. They really only have Ben Hunt. Even Aaron Woods is getting out of it.
You're discounting the talent in their team. Lomax is a great player.
Yeah,
Moses Sewell is a great player. The fullback Tyrell Sloan, he's actually a very underrated player.
Yeah,
People
Jack
aren't
Bird,
noticing him.
Jaden Sewer, even Jack DeBellin.
Yeah.
They're all good
Well,
players.
then it's a coaching issue. If you've got troops, okay, like I said, DeBellin, some solid forwards in there. If you've got the troops, and the biggest excuse to make is we don't have the troops, and then a direct contrary belief to that is the Dolphins and what they do. I think Cameron Smith pointed out this week, teams have no excuse to say, oh, we just don't have the players this year because look at what the Dolphins have been doing from round 1.
And that's all effort, defence,
attitude, and that's a Wayne Bennett thing.
It's what the Cows did last year.
And for teams like the Bulldogs, who are our team, Dragons, who can't put it in for their fans,
Tigers,
and the Tigers, who do have troops as well, that can't do it. There's literally no excuse. So it has to come down to a coaching aspect. So maybe he does. Yeah. Maybe Griffin deserves a sack.
I think they're doing the same thing that the Sharks did a couple of years ago to John Morris. Just give him the tap on the shoulder early, let everyone know, hey, this position's available. That way they can kind of curate everyone and get the best coach that they can.
Okay, but what if Dragons go on a 15-0 run?
That's what I was saying.
Do they look like idiots?
Yeah, they do. And that's why you don't release this stuff because, I mean, Anthony Griffin, he's already got 1 foot out the door. They've got 40 points on him the last couple of weeks. He's not going to make it the next couple of weeks. He'll be gone soon.
Look, their next 3 games, Dolphins, Gold Coast and Canberra, they're 3 winnable games.
Yeah, they should win
And
those games.
if they win all 3, they're re-signing him.
If he gets sacked from the Dragons, is that Anthony Griffin's coaching career done?
No. As you see with all other coaches,
revolving
Trent Barrett's in the box at Para. I think Cartwright's in the box at Brisbane.
Yeah, there'll be a box for him somewhere.
Yeah. He'll get an assistant role somewhere. Yeah. I mean, Phil Gould, I heard, loves him, so probably see him at Canterbury.
Yeah. Well, Kayln Ponga was recently seen going to Canada. The Knights have sent Kayln Ponga to Canada to assess his concussion issues. Now, I think this is an indictment on Australian doctors. Why can't there be a specialist in Australia that these clubs send their players to? Latrell goes to the US for his hamstring. Tom Trbojevic goes to the US for his hamstring. Now we send Kayln Ponga to Canada for his concussion. Are there any Australian doctors or specialists that we can...
I mean, so yeah, hamstring specialists are now all in the States.
Yeah.
Pappenhausen went there as well, all in the States. I don't know what a head specialist is going to do in person that he just can't do over Zoom for Ponga.
Why don't they just get the head specialist over Zoom, do all the scans here?
Send them over.
Seems like a waste of resources, but...
It makes you think. You hate to be an Australian athlete. You've got the worst healthcare facilities available.
You've got the worst doctors here in Australia if you're an athlete. You're better off just going overseas and getting rehab done.
So what's the Australian approach? You just give the player, hey, good luck. You know, say if you're not Kayln Ponga. Say if you're a bench player, you get all these head knocks. They just say, yeah, go to Canterbury Hospital and good luck to you.
Yeah, what if you're someone like a rookie player, say like a Junior Moan or someone like that from the Dragons? Are you getting sent overseas? Are you getting the 5-star treatment, first class to the US? Or just go to Canterbury Hospital and get a scan done.
When Ponga comes back, are you playing him back at fullback or back at 6
100%.
to avoid any tackles? What are you doing?
100% back at fullback.
I don't even know why they started him at 5'8".
Hey, he looked good. He looked good.
That
with
Lockie
the ball
Miller's
in his
playing
hand.
okay at fullback.
Leave him. You can play 5'8" in attack, or just have as many touches and be as damaging as he is at fullback. Just get him the ball. But you don't have to defend in the line. And look at all his concussions. They've all happened from him defending in the line. He wouldn't nearly have that many in the span of 4 months if he was defending at fullback. I think you're still susceptible to some at fullback.
It's a severe case of bad luck as well. Don't just think it's bad tackling technique. I mean, there's players like Radley and Luke Keary that have had the same head knocks. Do they have bad tackling technique? No, it's just unlucky. Just what happens.
Case, I think it was Wallace from the Dolphins who had a head-on-head collision.
Oh, yeah,
last week. Yeah. Split. Who did he split open?
No, that was it was Gilbert from the Gilbert came from the Cowboys. He killed Nicarima.
Nicarima, he was fine though.
He gets up.
Yeah, shrugged it off.
People just have different heads. Yeah, it's like the Homer Simpson helmet inside his head. Yeah.
But Joseph Sua'ali'i, gone to the Wallabies, gone to Australian rugby and the Waratahs from 2025 onwards. Again, we're big on talking about that. People are negotiating for 2 years down the track now. Yeah. But my view of it straight away is best of luck to him.
Oh, I mean, the Roosters are happy that he's there for next year. And I think they maybe, when they signed him, they knew 2025 was going to go back to rugby. And if I was in his position, of course you would go. Everyone's saying, oh, it's about the money, it's about the money. Of course it's about the money. If someone's offering me more money, I'm taking it. And you're going to get to play in the World Cup, British and Irish tour as a part of that Wallabies team. Only happens, once every 10-something years?
I just think it took a few people by surprise because he had just signed that extension with the Roosters. Teddy just signed on, and it looked like they were blooding him to be the next fullback, take Tedesco's place, and then all of a sudden it's bang. His management informs the Roosters he'll be pretty much signed with Australian rugby from 2025 onwards. It's a massive deal, $1.6 million. He's stupid not to take it. He's 19 years old. But it's a loss for Rugby League. I think Peter V'landys and Brandon Smith coming out and saying, oh, he'll be back in no time to the real sport. But it is a loss. You're losing a star player, a star junior, like a star young player that people are aspiring to be, but hopefully it's not for long.
Brandon Smith did take a shit on rugby, didn't he?
He hates rugby. Yeah, you could tell. He let him know. He goes, he'll come back to the real sport. They're after a $1.6 million winger, and you're still not going to beat the All Blacks. But comments from, I think it was James Hooper and Gordon Taylor. So I'll bring them up. This is what they said about Sua'ali'i signing. Hang on, let me bring this up.
He loved the game. He's getting paid $1.6 million per year. I'll tell you what he loves, the coin.
Because he loved rugby that much that he left it to go play league.
Well, no, it's come out.
And then he loved South that much.
To be fair,
then he left them to go play for the Roosters. And he loved the Roosters that much, he's gone to play for...
Now, that's Gordon Tallis and James Hooper weighing in on Joseph Sua'ali'i.
Leave the kid alone. Like he just got offered 1.6 mil. He's going to get 800 playing NRL.
If there was another reason, salary. If there's another reason to dislike Hooper. I mean, stay in your lane.
Yes, but like if Gordon Tallis went into Sua'ali'i's shoes and say Wayne Bennett offered Gordon Tallis $1.6 million to come to Brisbane, he'd be kissing Wayne Bennett's hairy beanbags to get $1.6 million. I mean, so it's a bit hypocritical. Like rugby league players have a short span in their career, a 10-year span to make as much money as they can. They have to view it as a business. We say, oh, he loves money. No, he's looking after himself. He also played rugby growing up. It's just, it's a no-brainer for him. Anyone given that opportunity and amount of money is saying yes.
Gordon Tallis, pretty rich of him to say, oh, he loves South. He went to the Roosters. Wasn't he at the Dragons saying he loves them? Goes to Brisbane. It's a business, okay? Leave the kid alone. He probably does love the Roosters. That's why he re-signed there for next year. And then guess what? Amazing opportunity comes up. Play for the Wallabies. He's going to go there for 2 to 3 years. Come back to NRL at 24 years old. Still got the whole NRL career ahead of him.
If Sua'ali'i has like a breakout season before Origin next couple of weeks, would you pick him on the wing, knowing that he's going?
Do you pick Sua'ali'i?
I think, man, you put your best team in. If he's available this year, you
play
him.
We're just saying you pick who the best players are. Yeah. But in saying that, someone like Josh Adokar, who was robbed of his spot last year, if he's getting replaced by a Sua'ali'i, like Josh Adokar really has 2 to 3 years left in him to play Origin at his best before a young up-and-comer takes his spot. So in saying that, if he's not going to be there for the years to come, the next 2-3 years of Origin, why wouldn't you're better off picking an emerging player or picking someone that's going to be here in rugby league? So I disagree on that.
The only reason they don't pick the Fox is because they're going to have Coates and Cobbo on the wing again. And they don't want To'o and Fox on each wing because that's too much of a size disadvantage. That's where Sua'ali'i comes in.
Daniel Tupou in last year and he didn't make much of a difference.
And that's why. And last year, Fox definitely should have been in there. And this year, if he's playing well, pick the best player available.
Just based off how the Fox did for the Kangaroos I think you got to pick him.
But look at like Israel Folau when he played for Queensland. Maybe people knew that he was going to move on, but you still pick him for Queensland on the wing because he picked the most athletic and most talented players that you can.
Okay. That brings me to Sua'ali'i going over. I want to look at the top 5 code switchers of all time in Australia.
Okay.
Who do I start us off with? Top 5 code switchers of all time. Number 5, Jarryd Hayne. Jarryd Hayne going from the Parramatta Eels, pretty much in the prime of his career as a player, hadn't won a premiership, goes over to the San Francisco 49ers, untested, didn't play a snap of football, and to get preseason games and was playing well. It's one thing to do it, as a, defensive player or as a punter like some AFL, to do it as a running back or a special teams runner. Unbelievable. He doesn't get enough credit for it.
I know people say, it was only the preseason that he played well and he basically didn't last a year there. But playing a single snap of an NFL game is an achievement in itself. And to be the first rugby league player to go over there and do it, you're easily one of the top 5 code switchers. But bringing me to number 4, the most iconic Australian athlete, Anthony Mundine. Goes from the Dragons to boxing, one of the greatest rugby league players at the time, goes over to boxing, trailblazes it, and he's one of the greatest Australian boxers of all time. No one in Australia really thinks of boxing. They always think of Anthony Mundine. So he's easily number 4.
Yeah, a bit past his prime. Now, apparently he's looking for another fight, whether it be maybe a Manny or... I'll put my hand up, Chock.
Would you fight him?
I'll put my hand up, Chock. Get an exhibition, put it on a no-limit card. I don't know, but he is one of the GOATs. You can't deny that. To do it, to be one of the best rugby league players of all time, then to go over and boxing and dominate, you got to respect him there. Number 3, I'm going with Israel Folau. Now, this list could be about something else. It could be pretty much we've just named 3 controversial players. But Israel Folau, from going to Rugby League again, at the height of his Rugby League career, going over to Rugby Union and being pretty much the best Wallaby.
Don't forget about his AFL stint either.
He also had a bit of a stint in AFL too. The guy's a freak athlete, but pretty much was the go-to guy, the face of Australian Rugby Union. I would say probably the best Rugby Union player in the last decade for them, and they always have to lean on Rugby League players. But again, didn't end too well with Australian rugby, but you can't deny he's been one of the best code switchers of all time.
He won 3 John Eales medals, and that's the Wallabies' best player for that year. And at the time, that was a record, first player to ever reach 3. So if you're going to go based off that, best Wallabies player from that decade, and easily one of the best code switchers. He's a freak athlete, and everyone always still when they jump up for a massive kick, you're quoting Folau like you're quoting Kobe.
Good debater as well, winning that that court case.
But that brings us to number 2. The OG Bulldogs, Sonny Bill Williams, went over from the Bulldogs over to French rugby and then made his way to play for the All Blacks. And at the time, All Blacks is probably probably the greatest rugby union team of all time. To be able to play in that All Blacks team, win 2 World Cups, you're a freak athlete, then comes back to Rugby League, wins a comp with the Roosters.
Stint in boxing as well. He's had a few code switches too.
He's an ultimate athlete, one of the greatest Australian code switches of all time.
It's good sort too.
Mate, he could jump into modelling too if that counts as a code switch. Number 1, and this might be a bit controversial to some because it's fairly new, but number 1 is Jordan Mailata.
Yeah.
Going from under-20s rugby league at South Sydney, playing junior rugby league his whole career, then switching up again, same as Jarryd Hayne, not playing a snap of football, getting drafted to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Featuring in a Super Bowl, being one of the best tight ends. I think he's an all-pro tight end.
Yeah, he's made the Pro Bowl, made all-pro, and that's like stuff that you have to be seasoned in the game to be making that. That's the elite of the NFL. Plays the left tackle, one of the hardest positions to play in the NFL. And the fact that he's got a Super Bowl appearance now, multiple playoff appearances, easily one of the greatest.
He's revolutionised how NFL will draft players going forward. They're going to be looking overseas at more Polynesian players playing rugby union, just because how agile he is, how good on his feet he is. He's one of the freakish athletes where, a Bankstown Bulls junior, he takes number 1, especially in terms of financial gain. From going over, barely being paid $5,000 a year at South Sydney to getting $74 million guaranteed at Philly
Playing a
Eagles.
Super Bowl.
Playing in a Super Bowl, it's second to none. That's why Jordan Mailata is number 1.
And if you look at the other rugby union players, yes, they have done well, but the degree of difficulty to go to America and play well in the NFL, it's much harder, so he earns number 1.
To give you some context on that as well, so Mailata, Jarryd Hayne, giving them a bit more credit, over 200,000 people will apply for the NFL draft a year. And you've got these 2 guys that have never played before in their life.
Yeah, you're exactly right. 200,000 players that have gone through the college system, gone through playing in high school, growing up playing the game, and these guys go over there, and that just talks to their
and they dominate the game.
They're freaks. Honourable mention that we want to mention, Daniel Vito, going over to WWE from Rugby League.
Lottie Takuri.
Lottie Takuri.
Wendell
Wendell
Saylor.
Saylor, again doing his thing in rugby. I think Rugby Union just have a thing for Rugby League wingers.
What was the guy with the headgear? Barnes, Berwick Barnes.
Matty Rogers too did his thing over there. I just think, yeah, well, best of luck to Rugby Union. But Jesus Christ, have a look at your juniors. Maybe do something about that.
Honourable mention to Benji Marshall as well, one of the failed code switches.
Played at Auckland Blues, didn't he?
Yeah, I think is it Auckland Blues?
Yeah, it wasn't up to scratch. I don't think. Did he play for the All Blacks? No. Didn't get a start. But AFL's been turning along. Over to week 2 or 3 this week?
Week 3.
Week 3 this week coming up. Again, Sydney Swans and the Collingwood Magpies looking like the highlights.
Yeah, they're definitely the best teams in the AFL at the moment. Big surprises for Collingwood. Everyone thought they'd drop off from last year, but they're continuing their strong run. St Kilda are the biggest surprises, though. They've won 2 in a row. No one saw that happening. Everyone pegged them for bottom 4. Fremantle, they were expected to be top 4. They've lost their last 2. They lost to North Melbourne, which is embarrassing. They lost that game in Perth. So, I don't know, everyone's saying they're pretenders now. But if you look at the game of the week this week, Richmond versus Collingwood on Friday night, MCG.
That'll sell out.
I don't know who's putting the schedule together for the AFL. They've done a great job.
Just bangers after bangers each week.
Every Thursday or Friday night, they're going to have 80,000 for the first 3 weeks. And that's amazing.
Yeah. They're doing something right over there. I think the way Mason Cox has been playing.
I don't think he's been playing too well. Hasn't been one of the highlights.
Well, if you look at his Instagram, they're all getting around him.
Yeah.
They're getting around the Sunnies.
Coxzilla?
Yeah.
You've got Port Adelaide versus Adelaide as well, which will be a good
Yeah, that's a big Sunday game.
derby.
So, I mean, everyone in our top 5 last week was spraying us for having New South Wales bias and not including the Adelaide Derby as part of it. But, I mean, Adelaide AFL.
Venture off to Adelaide too often. Jeez,
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be nice to have State of Origin in Adelaide 1. There'll be the Gather Round, I think, is in Adelaide. So it's nice to get a bit of exposure. But, yeah, as far as greatest Australian rivalries, Adelaide can take a back seat.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Okay, tips for the week. We've had a bit of a shocker.
I mean, we're all, me, you and Dad, we're all tipping 17 of 34 so far.
We're all tied,
32.
which is pretty
32.
crazy.
So we're better than 50%.
We're all about even. And we've all had difference of opinions and tips. I feel like after 4 or 5 rounds, we should start getting to a rhythm. Okay, we know who's doing well. We know which players have come out of the woodworks and actually, doing something decent. No one expected the Dolphins to get off this to a crazy start.
I'd like to say I should be able to tip 6 from 8 from here, but it's a pretty tough week.
It is a tough week, starting off with Para Roosters Thursday night
Mate,
at Allianz.
See, this is hard because Joseph Manu's out, Junior Paulo's out. They got Drew Hutchinson playing in the centres. I don't know. I'm going to go with the Roosters here just because I think they can get it done. They'll just find a way to get it done, so I'm tipping the Roosters.
Now, if Roosters were healthy, I would have gone with the Roosters, and we said that at the top of the show, but I'm going to go with Parramatta. Coming off that win from last week, they needed that momentum going in. They're playing well. Gutherson's probably got a point to prove this week as well. I'm going Para. Richard's gone Para. We've got Penrith and Raiders Friday night.
Again, a few injuries. Luke Garner's, for some reason, being rested. Liam Martin's still out. So Penrith aren't full strength. But
Raiders
You've got Jack Wyden out there.
Jack Wyden's not playing?
Yeah,
He got 2
judiciary
weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Well, that's easy then. It's Penrith.
Yeah.
But you've got Fogarty back and Rapana back for Canberra.
Hey, the furball, what's his name? The half that's slotted in. He played with the
Matt
Bulldogs.
Frawley.
Matt Frawley,
Yeah,
the
Frawley.
hairiest man in the NRL. He goes all right.
Yeah, no, he played well.
I wouldn't mind seeing him pair up with Fogarty in the halves. It might give Canberra a bit of direction, but again, I'm going Penrith.
In saying that, Penrith 13+.
Yeah, Penrith 13+. Richard's taken Penrith 13+ as well. Rabbitohs Storm.
This is extremely tough.
This is one, I reckon it's the toughest week so far.
Storm still without Jarome Hughes, but they get an extra week with their makeshift halfback. I forget his name. But Cam Munson's back an extra week. Coates, Olam. I think they were disappointing last week against the Tigers, so Craig Bellamy is still going to rip into them. I'll take Storm in a close one.
The Storm have not been the Storm of old. Too many errors, haven't been completing their sets. They got an outside back problem. Always, if it's not Munster out, they got Jerome Hughes out. I don't think they get it done this week. Souths were a bit disappointing last week, and I just think they're going to get it done, though.
I'll never tip against Melbourne, so Melbourne will win this.
Okay, I'm taking Souths. Richard's taking Souths. Manly or Knights?
I think Knights have been on a bit of a lucky run, beating Canberra last week. Manly unlucky to
Again,
lose
Knights,
last week.
depleted team.
Yeah, depleted team. Manly actually playing pretty good football. Trebojevic is, I think, extending his stride on that hamstring every week as well, so you take Manly here.
He still looks a little bit hesitant, Trebojevic. Like he doesn't want to turn the Jets on.
What do you think of that forward pass?
Look,
It wasn't forward.
it wasn't forward. It wasn't a full pass. Did I think Latrell was going to make the tackle afterwards? Yes. I don't
wasn't
think
a try.
it wasn't a guaranteed try. Was it a bad call? Yes. Now, the NRL, every year a call like this comes up. Was it forward? Was it not? What technology are we going to look into? I think Graham Annesley came out and said they have to start looking at shipping the ball technology to see if it travelled forward. But that's going to open up a whole nother can of worms of maybe a pass did go forward. That's the slightest bit forward.
Like VAR.
That's a flat
soccer,
ball
how
and
it's
they're going to
ruling the
call
game,
it.
yeah.
Exactly
But you know
right.
what? You'd rather that because that's more.
No,
it's
I
like
like
tennis.
the eye test. I like the eye test. Seriously, touchies, just do your job. How hard is it? Just you literally have the easiest job. If something touches the sideline, put your flag up. You're in line with the pass. If it's forward, you call it. That's it. Rely on your touchies.
Yeah, no.
Anyway,
Touches are useless.
It's
but-
a resounding Manly from all of us. St George or the Dolphins?
Again, another tough one. O'Sullivan, pec injury. So
14 weeks out. That's a big loss because he was playing some good footy. I think he was one of the most underrated players in the comp.
And the Dragons, like you said, Anthony Griffin, 1 foot out the door. Will they actually be able to turn it around? I mean, they've got a pretty easy run of 3 weeks now at home at Wynn Stadium. I actually like their lineup. Zach Lomax, Moses Sully, the other the
Return
fullback
of Jack
Sloan.
DeBellin.
Yeah.
Jack DeBellin
With
returning.
Felice
reserves,
Kafusi still being out, Sullivan being out.
Look, there's some big ins for both teams. So DeBellin's back for the Dragons, and for the Dolphins, they've got Jeremy Marshall-King, Katoa, and Herman Sasa back.
I'm
Good
taking the
ins.
Dragons.
I think, yeah, Richard and I have taken the Dragons as well. I think it'll be a closer game than everyone thinks.
Yeah.
I reckon it'll be either team 1 to 12, but I'll take the Dragons.
Dolphins are a disciplined side. They'll keep it close, maybe even win.
Now at Suncorp, Broncos versus the Tigers.
Poor Tigers.
Tigers looking to go 0-5.
You know what's the dumbest thing? Dane Laurie's just been completely dropped. So
He's not named at fullback.
No, so Adam Dewey's fullback, Wakeham at 6. They're going with what they did last week. I
Dane
think
Laurie, number 21.
Yeah, maybe they thought that it worked last week against Melbourne, but come on.
In the Twitter sphere, a lot of Tigers fans were pleading to have Dane Laurie start and Luke Brooks dropped.
No.
I saw so many lineups without Luke Brooks in there to test out Wakeham and Dewey at 6 and 7.
This
Doesn't
is
look like
why-
they're going
How
back
would
to
you
it.
play it? How would you, if you're Tim Sheens, what would you do? with
You're
this
never
team?
dropping Luke Brooks. You
Never
can't
drop
drop Luke.
I'd honestly maybe just.
I don't even think he deserves to be dropped.
No.
It's similar to the Bulldogs. What they lack is summing up their sets. They can't find a good last tackle option. If they could solve that issue, Tigers fans would maybe take it a bit easy on him.
I think they're overreacting to the bad start to the season. Leave your spine the way it is. Leave Laurie at fullback. You spent all the preseason with it. Give them a chance. Give them at least 10 weeks. Don't go overreact after the first 2-3 weeks. But they're not winning this week. Brisbane are going to win. Reece Walsh is on fire. They actually played disappointing last week. But I'll peg Cobbo in for a try and Brisbane 13+.
It should be Brisbane 13+.
Laurie would be a good fullback for Para if they're looking for an
For a
attacking
spark,
spark.
yeah.
Nah, he's too similar to Gutherson.
No, he's a lot quicker and younger.
I just think each person you've said, whether it's Laurie or Campbell, are very light players. You know, I don't think they have that Jack Wyden ability to be like, I could score
Strength
10
about
out
him,
strength. You know, exactly right.
Or Trell.
Yeah, something like that. I feel like if you're looking for a game breaker, you want something like that. Not someone that could dance around and throw a good ball. Like as good as they are, but possibility. I don't know. But anyway, resounding Brisbane Broncos. Let's go to the Sharks or Warriors.
I mean, Warriors, they upset the Bulldogs last week. Sean Johnson,
Well,
game-winning
upset, they were
try.
at home, really.
But you'll take the Sharks. They're on fire. It's at Shark Park. You're not tipping against them at Shark Park.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
take the
Sharks. Everyone around. Bulldogs versus Cowboys.
Now, Bulldogs were disappointing. They can't score. But Cowboys are without Nanai. They're without Murray Talangi. Peter Hick is back.
James
who cares?
Tarmow's out as well.
Tarmow's out. No, who cares?
And it's in Sydney.
Yeah, at Core Stadium. Josh Reynolds named at 14. They're not losing with him in the team.
I think Josh Reynolds is gonna be a spark that's gonna actually light a fire under the Bulldogs that they need.
Do you think he gets over?
I hope he gets over. I mean, I don't. I'd like to see it done at Belmore, but I mean, I think with him in there and them needing to get on top of their last tackle options, that was so disappointing against the Warriors. They couldn't finish a set. They had good ball opportunity after good ball opportunity, and couldn't score tries. So if they touch that up next week, maybe it was something about being over in New Zealand.
Yeah.
With the injuries that the Cowboys have out, I'm going to go the Bulldogs as well. Dad's taking the Cowboys. So that's where we separate this week. The Titans have the bye. They were disappointing last week. I thought they should have won.
Yeah, no. They're going to be one of those teams. They'll win one, they'll lose one. It'll happen all season.
But that's our tip for the week. Make sure you check out Picklebet socials to keep up to date with our tips. Going over to the NBA, Ben Simmons cannot catch a break. He's out for possibly the rest of the season.
The Nets have said he's out for the season.
Back impingement.
I don't know.
Bit of nerve damage.
What are these injuries?
Yeah, it's weird. He's obviously got a bad back, but what's odd about it is the Brooklyn Nets have said he's not travelling with the team for the rest of the season. Does that mean he's like a locker room cancer? He's a loser? I don't get it. Like, usually when players are injured, they'll still remain with the team, build chemistry, do all that kind of stuff. But for him to be sitting down away from the team for the rest of the season, it makes you think, okay, his future in Brooklyn's done.
Could he just be over basketball? Because listen to this as a player. You get drafted pretty high up. You bounce around from team to team. This year he's earning $35 million.
Well, I mean, bounce around from team to it's his second team.
Yeah, but okay, but you've gone from sitting down on the bench all season at Philadelphia, now doing the same thing at the Nets, essentially.
Well, the thing is,
you're not earning your money, but can you do that when you're that high of a draft pick? You can just sit down and not earn money. He doesn't have to lift a finger.
He doesn't care. I think he's on about 30 mil this year. I think 30 mil next year.
35.4 mil this season,
Jeez.
Yeah, so I don't think he's got really anything to worry about in terms of his ego being hurt. That's it. He's got to accept now he's a role player. Andrew Bogut sat down with us and said he's got to accept his fate as a role player. And that's it. He's got to improve his free throw percentages. And if he can't do that, he's going to be out of the NBA soon. It is what it is.
LeBron made his return to the Lakers this week. And it was a miracle because it was a miraculous recovery. He tore his tendon in his foot, went to a doctor who he calls the LeBron of foot doctors, who healed him up, and they said it was the quickest anyone has ever healed from this injury.
Wasn't an Australian doctor?
No, it wasn't an Australian doctor, no.
He is superhuman, and it's been done before. I mean, I think he's exaggerating a bit. These kind of stories probably don't need to come out, but LeBron loves a bit of a fanfare.
Does this get added to the LeBron lives?
It definitely gets added to LeBron. He's come out and said that 2 doctors said he should be out for the season or something like that.
Well, he came out and said 2 doctors and 2 difference of opinions said he needed season-ending surgery.
Yeah, but he's gone to a different doctor who's assessed his superhuman body and allowed him to play. So, I mean, LeBron, best of luck to you. But
at 38 years old, if he's coming back from injury still, like he's doing something right.
He's going to get some sort of Kobe Bryant tendon surgery.
I just think he wants to make it as long as he gets to play with Bronny Jr.
Well, they need to make the playoffs. I think they're in the 8th spot at the moment, so they're in that in-between area. They could drop out of contention. So.
Well, I definitely think they're going to squeeze into the play-in or get a lock for the playoffs. So keep an eye out on your basketball. It's good to see. You want to be seeing the King playing.
Yeah, definitely.
So looking over to Melbourne this week, F1 is on.
Oh, you're going to be seeing these fake fans come out of the woodworks.
Now, I understand F1 very popular, especially after the Netflix Drive to Survive. But geez, if I see it on people's stories that don't watch rugby league or any form of sport in Australia, and all of a sudden you know who Daniel Ricciardo is and who he's signed with, I don't want to know you. I don't want to see you on my social media. You're a fake fan.
If there's one thing I hate most in this life, it's hearing that I'm an F1 fan after I watch Drive to Survive. Fuck off.
Yeah,
I'm honestly one of them.
Yeah, you're one of them. But I understand. The only thing that I don't like about it is like they don't actually enjoy the sport and the cars.
It's the politics.
I love everything that goes on behind the scenes.
It's politics.
Oh, he's going to sign with this company and
you know
it's like
the dumbest...
that's like me saying, man, I love the Roosters just behind the scenes. Nick Pilatus just signs everyone and they fit everyone under their cap. I want to hear what's happening in behind the scenes. I want to see him play footy.
Jaden, confirm this for me. But it's just whoever signs with the big brands, doesn't matter the driver. If you're signing with the top brands, I think it's Ferrari, whatever it is, they're always going to win.
Red Bull, Mercedes.
Red Bull. I'm saying, as long as you're a driver for them, it doesn't matter how good you are. They've got the best cars.
Red Bull have the best cars. What they did last year or the year before is they implemented like a salary cap where you can only spend X amount on your car, which was never the case before. So always the big brands were winning. But now Red Bull's taken over. Sir Lewis Hamilton's still at Mercedes, and he's even complimenting the Red Bull car. So
any chance there can be a lot of rigging going on? Because I mean, like,
I always
thought of money and all the talks of politics.
Yeah.
I just assumed this sport was a money laundering activity.
But look, we're saying that as people that don't get around F1 too much, keep up with it here and there. But we're going to remain open-minded. We'll try and get down to your F1s. We might catch some international F1 trips, and we're going to remain open-minded. Do our due diligence. And see if we like the sport. So
I will try and get into the sport. Yeah. I'm going to try and keep up with it, but I refuse to watch the Netflix series.
No. Best way to get into it is watching the Netflix series.
Well, I know what we'll be doing this weekend. After we hit up maybe the races.
Yeah. But what's even bigger this weekend than the F1? Our personal favourite activity.
Wrestlemania 39.
Mate.
Big one in LA. We'll be doing a watch party. We'll be catching that down here with Binge. But I'll tell you now, it's a stacked card.
I mean, this is probably one of the best cards. I mean, they've gone all out because it's in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Wrestlemania goes Hollywood.
They're also looking to sell the company, so they're looking to put on a good showing, WWE. Look at some of the card. You got the headliner, the main event, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. I want to do your prediction. just for the main events, the main card. Who wins out of Austin Theory and John Cena? US title on the line.
John Cena doesn't lose a lot, but he's been out. He's a part-time wrestler.
Yeah.
You got to go with the full-time wrestler. A-Town down.
Me and you both agree. Austin Theory there. Okay. Edge versus Finn Balor in Hell in a Cell. Who's winning?
This feud's gone a year too long. But I'll take Edge in a Hell in a Cell match. He's not losing. He's going to probably be his last match on Wrestlemania card, so I'll take Edge.
Brock Lesnar versus the giant Omos.
I think Omos is only there to lose matches, so you'll take the Beast.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to take Omos. I think Brock's done his job there in WWE. He's got to put over some talent.
He's not putting on...
I think Omos gets the win there with MVP in his corner. Now, Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes?
Everyone's building up Cody to be the one to end Roman's streak, but it's too good to end on Cody Rhodes. He's not good enough to beat Roman Reigns. And I know that sounds weird because it's a fake sport, but I'm heavily invested here. Roman Reigns is not losing his titles.
Well, I agree with you. I think Roman Reigns gets the win there. I don't think Cody's going to knock him off of this record-breaking title reign. And a lot of people said Sami Zayn should have been in the main event over Cody Rhodes. It was Zayn Mania, almost. Now he's in a tag team match against the Usos. I think easily they go over. We'll both agree.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens beat the Usos. It's going to be a gun WrestleMania.
Isn't Logan Paul?
Logan Paul is fighting Seth Rollins as well. The celebrity match that they always have. Logan Paul has never disappointed when it comes to WrestleMania. His matches in Saudi Arabia. The kid's a freak athlete. I don't think he beats Seth Rollins at Mania.
See, this is what I think he does. I think Seth Rollins has made a name of putting people over, and Logan Paul hasn't won many matches in the WWE. He needs to get a W, so he's going to win this weekend.
Well, keep an eye out for WrestleMania this weekend. Again, massive weekend of sports. I will keep an eye out on our socials at Jon-Bernard K and at Picklebet on Instagram for our tips and our bets this week. Mate, we've got the best job in the world just commenting on sports, but keep an eye out for us all on social media and take it easy.
You'd be stupid not to back my bet this week.